before Mauricio Pochettino names his World Cup squad. The United States taking on Portugal, and Mauricio Pochettino making 6 changes from the side that lost here against Belgium on Saturday, including a goal where Matt Freese gets the chance to start once again tonight. And at this point, just before the World Cup squad is named, Kyle Martino, he is the presumptive number 1, isn't he?
He is. Yeah, he is. And I'm not hypercritical on Matt Turner. The scoreline would say the goalkeeper didn't perform well. I don't think that has anything to do with it. Matt Freese is the number 1. If this was the first game of the World Cup, he'd be the starter. And so, obviously, a real good test for him. And Pochettino obviously has to make a roster decision, but he's got some time to make a starting 11 decision, that's for sure.
The World Cup countdown continues right here in Atlanta, and for some of the players on this pitch tonight, one last chance to make a case for a place on the biggest stage of all. But for this team as a whole, there is a need for redemption after Saturday's humbling loss here against Belgium. We are underway in downtown Atlanta as Portugal are the opposition. Portugal coming into this one having tied 0-0 with Mexico at Estadio Azteca, and they had 65% possession in that game. Roberto Martinez, their head coach, talking to us yesterday about the fact that they really had plenty of chances to get the victory in Mexico at the weekend. He wants better decisions from his players in the final third. And Portugal heading towards a World Cup spot this summer as well, having secured their place through qualifying last fall. Here's Weah, who picks it up down the right side in a more advanced role today for the US. He's got support on this right touchline from Berhalter. And Vitinha looking to get it away there, the PSG midfielder. High tempo start to this game, as it's played out wide to the far side by Inacio, but now it's a chance for Weston McKennie. And driven in there by Tillman. Mauricio Pochettino looking for a reaction and looking for intensity today.
And he and his staff were showing the team some data on just the drop-off from taking Uruguay as a benchmark, and it was really those splitting the field into thirds, those middle transition, getting into defensive positions. It was that closing down the ball, it was that confrontation that was lacking last game. Here's a look at that last chance. Really poor giveaway here. You wonder if Weston McKennie can hit this first time with his left. I mean, the goal-scoring form he's on, there was a window there to get it off early. The deflection takes the pace off of it. Bright start from the U.S.
Luke and Kyle in the booth, and Melissa is pitch side.
Great energy. Luke and Kyle, you guys were talking about intensity before, and that's exactly what I felt even when I was interviewing Alex Freeman before kick, and you see it amongst the players here during the warm-up. You see it with the coaching staff. They've coming in with grit after that loss against Belgium the other day, and you definitely feel that energy, and even in these first 3 minutes.
Played high in towards the back post as Freeman flicks it away here, and another chance for Freeman. And now McKennie to get it away to Weah down the right side. Slightly different role for Christian Pulisic today, playing as a central attacking player. Mauricio Pochettino talking to us about the need to get Christian Pulisic involved more going forward in a more central role. So he starts today without an identifiable central striker. Balogun had played at the weekend. That's one of the changes that is made, with Balogun dropping out. Of course, Adjaman, Pepe would be options as well, but it's Pulisic's role tonight.
I mean, if I'm Adjaman or Pepe, I'm scratching my head. I'm wondering, this is the last chance I have to make this roster, and maybe Pochettino has them in the roster and he has his decisions already made, but I'd be a little bummed that you play a false nine, you haven't done this. And if Balogun's going to sit, one of those guys definitely expects to be up top. We'll see if the tactic works.
Picked up in the midfield here by Morris. Morris alongside Berhalter in the centre of midfield as it's pushed forward towards Pulisic. Mauricio Pochettino wanting to make sure they're able to support Christian Pulisic and get enough bodies around him. As this ball is driven into the middle, it's cleared away onto the far side. Roberto Martinez, a head coach who knows all about World Cups before having been to a couple as a manager. Got a third place finish with Belgium in 2018, a group exit as Belgium underperformed in Qatar in 2022. Challenge coming in there on the far side from the Benfica defender, Araujo. Now Pulisic brings it down and looks to link up with McKennie. Support down that left side from Anthony Robinson, who drills it into the middle. Berhalter was charging forward but couldn't get there, and the flag is up for offside.
The one thing we're seeing right out of the gate is the commitment from the midfielders to make those runs through. That's the good part about Pulisic. When he gets in wide positions, he draws so much attention. We'll get a look right here to see if that's off. Yeah, you can see the cut of grass right there, just leaning into an offside position. But look at Berhalter just crashing the box.
Berhalter alongside Morris in the midfield, and they started together in the 5-1 win against Uruguay in Tampa in November. Berhalter scored his first international goal that game, got an assist as well. It's the only other time they started together. Pulisic with the ball off. A chance for Tillman here. It's back for Christian Pulisic! And the block comes in to put it behind, off Vitinha for a corner on the far side. A positive start from the United States.
What a lovely combination, and again for Portugal, just a poor giveaway in the midfield. A step from Trusty, and just lends the ball, and perfect timing on that overlap. Doesn't catch a lot of that one. You can see he's trying to get his body position right, run around the ball. Vitinha there to block it, but an early look there for Christian Pulisic.
Berhalter across to the far side to take this corner. Austin Trusty forward from the back. It's McKennie who got the head to it. Weston McKennie with the goal that gave the US the lead at the weekend against Belgium.
He scored on a set piece last game, one touch. I mean, how does he get that wide open? And Freeman's wide open behind him. You know, Martinez, I saw him immediately go out of that technical area. Of all the players, you can't leave Weston McKennie. I mean, you watched the tape last game. That was one of the bright spots. So he tries to get a lot of power on that and just couldn't snap it in.
Portugal giving it away there as they look to clear from the back, but the referee, Sven Jablonski of Germany, his first US game, will give the free kick here the way of Portugal. So that's the first big chance falling to the US for Christian Pulisic. And you remember at the weekend when they scored that goal and we looked for the reaction on the bench, and Mauricio Pochettino was just sitting there expressionless, really. He was asked at the press conference yesterday about why. He said, well, because we should have already had 2 by then. We should have had 3. And those are the sorts of situations that keep a coach up at night, because that's how then the game turned, because those chances hadn't been put away. The assistant referee wasn't quite on the line to see if that one had gone out. He was still catching up with the play on the far side. They may have got away with one. As it's picked up here by Berhalter. And back towards Chris Richards, who captains the team tonight. The 3rd time that Richards has been the captain. First was a 1-1 draw against New Zealand, the final game before Mauricio Pochettino came in. And the last was in June of last year, the 2-1 loss against Turkey. And it has now been confirmed that the United States will play against Turkey at the World Cup. They got through in the playoffs today. It's the final game of the group, having taken on Paraguay and Australia to start with, will be against Turkey, who beat Kosovo by 1-0. Up it goes towards Pulisic. His little ball forward in the midfield. He'll get this one back as he pushes it towards the edge of the box, and Bruno Fernandes with a strike. Wonderful save by Matt Freese. A big moment for the keeper.
An absolute top shelf strike and world-class save. That was absolutely flying in the corner. I mean, Fernandes can't hit that any better, and also just taking it so quickly. Freese having his feet set. What a massive save that was.
Bounced right in front of him as well, and he's still got that hand to it.
That is such a difficult skill for Bruno Fernandes there.
The Manchester United man, his 87th cap today, and he'll leave this corner now. Fernandes with the ball into the box. It's a chance for Vitinha here at the byline, and that one's headed behind by Berhalter, but the flag is up on the far side for offside.
tell right off the training field, U.S. team did really well to not sit back on top of Freeze and push out when that first pass was made.
Vitinha, the player that was offside, third place in the Ballon d'Or voting in 2025, played every minute of all 7 Club World Cup games for PSG, including a couple of games here in this stadium last year. Out it goes towards Weah. Now Pulisic against João Cancelo. Cancelo at left back today for Portugal with Dalot on the right. Morris, the Middlesbrough midfielder, out for Pulisic down the right side. Weah. Freeman.
You can see the U.S. falling into what looks like that back three with high wing backs. You know, Tim Weah having to play a fullback position in the back four last game. This is a little more comfortable, and this looks a lot more like in last camp, that back three that we saw that was so effective for the U.S.
Weah looking to link up with Pulisic. It's up in the midfield here now by Pedro Neto, the Chelsea man who scored in this stadium in the Club World Cup against LAFC just last year. Trincao. Back it comes towards Bruno Fernandes. He leads the Premier League with 16 assists, Bruno Fernandes. Second place player is Cherki with just 8. Bruno Fernandes with double the amount of assists of any other player in the Premier League right now. Across the back they go. Samu Costa's ball all the way out towards Vitinha. Pretty fluid for Portugal right now. They've only lost 1 of their last 10 matches. 3 clean sheets in the last 10 and unbeaten in 2 since a World Cup qualifying defeat in Dublin back on November the 13th, 2-0 against Ireland. Push forward down the right towards Bruno Fernandes as Aidan Morris tries to get back. It's cleared away by Trusty. Trusty partnering Chris Richards at the back tonight. The first time that they have played together from the start as a defensive pairing.
Early communication is going to be so essential. We talked with Chris Richards last game, at training after last game, and that was one of the things he pointed out, especially when the possession and the tempo starts to fall in favor of Portugal. Morris just seeing that run out of the midfield a little late, so important for those center backs that are facing the game to give them an early shout.
Pedro Neto across to the far side to take it. The 26-year-old from Chelsea who came on at half-time against Mexico at the weekend. Towards that front post where Richards got ahead to it. Now Cancelo out wide to the right, the Barcelona man. Neto. Cancelo's ball flown in towards the back post. Trincao gets it back from Vitinha. Fernandes, who captained the side at the Azteca, and does so again tonight. No Cristiano Ronaldo in this squad. Also missing goalkeeper Diego Costa. Porto man out with an injury. First choice keeper. This one whipped into the middle. Freeze gets a touch maybe as it comes across to the near side. It's out for a throw here.
Just this little deflection. Yeah, he takes a glance, isn't sure if Costa's going to be able to get on the back of that far post, so he had to misdirect it, had to put that little deflection on it.
Yeah, Matt Free's been solid so far. One of the things that Tim Ream and Malik Tillman said about him, that he's so good on the line in the air, and what they need is a goalkeeper that gives confidence, whether it's with their feet or in the air. And Tim really applauded Matt Freese over the course of the year, getting into this team and his willingness to learn to adapt to this high level at international football.
This one crossed in towards the back post. Cancelo was coming forward there, but Weah got back.
I looked down at Pochettino through that sequence. He was motioning for the back line of the U.S. to push up. You know, it's fine to drop off. It's fine to get in that medium or low block, but just surrendering space and getting back on your heels. Was disappointed that ball found that wide position so easily when they're that compact.
Tim Weah was back there doing a bit of defending. He'll probably have a little bit less work to do defensively today. Might be a bit more enjoyable for him than having to face Jeremy Doku, we talked to him about that, the experience of going up, as he described, one of the best 1v1 players in the world, about how he had to make sure he just wasn't switched off at all at any moment. It was all about communication and needed a team effort to try and shut Doku down, which they managed to do for half an hour or so. He was very good in that defensive role.
Excellent. The problem for Weah, I mean, he did really well in that half an hour, is he's stuck, and that's his job. You know, he's going to love this wing-back position where he can be the one to try to instigate. You know, Freeman's so good at joining the attack at times, but that extra center back just gives him that license, that freedom to be more attacking-minded.
Freeman coming in behind Weah on the right side. He's now appeared in 14 games in a row and 15 of the last 16 since his debut against Turkey and Hartford, the former Orlando City man. Switched clubs in the January transfer window. Back to Jose Sarr, who was in the World Cup squad in Qatar but didn't play. 8 changes for Portugal tonight, including in goal with Sarr coming in, the Wolves man. 6 of this 11 were in the World Cup squad in Qatar for Portugal. "15 minutes in here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. A lively first quarter hour here in downtown Atlanta. US Soccer on TNT Sports is presented by Volkswagen. Live life in the driver's seat. Matt Freese with a huge save to deny Manchester United's Bruno Fernandes early in this game. It's Chris Richards, who missed the game at the weekend with an injury. Captains the team tonight at the back. He's on the sidelines at the weekend on Saturday as he celebrated his birthday. Here's Pulisic pushing forward.
Hey guys, from the sideline, I'm right next to Jesus Perez, and
it's given away here by Portugal as it's picked up by Tim Weah. He couldn't quite squeeze that one through towards Tillman, who was the furthest forward. It's out for a goal kick.
they're applauding that pressure, and obviously. But as soon as that ball passes that midline, Jesus and Pochettino are both screaming at Tim, up. They want him positionally higher up the field because that's exactly that danger that he presents to the Portuguese back line.
Yeah, that press right there, you can call it a counter press, where Aiden Morris just leaves that central position. That was one of the things Pochettino was so disappointed last game, is how many times they had to track 70 yards after they were in a good attacking position. He wants that work done early.
Morris, one of the 6 changes tonight, and Berhalter as well battling for it there as Morris and Bruno Fernandes shoulder to shoulder, out wide to the right looking for Trincao. Batinha just pushing it forward for Dalot to chase on that right side, but Trusty quickly across to slide in.
Well done from Trusty. And that's what you need from those center backs. Richards will try to push in, especially when they play false 9 or Bruno Fernandes gets it. But you gotta help out in those wide positions when it's 1v1.
Weah dropping deep and is able to clear that one, but it's out of play on the far side. A big night for Austin Trusty of Celtic. He's not played the last 4 league games in Scotland since getting a red card against Hibs. In fact, he was sent off twice in his last 4 league starts. Just a 6th cap today for the 27-year-old defender from Pennsylvania. And he's one of those players right now who is auditioning for a spot in Mauricio Pochettino's squad.
Again, look at that trigger. As soon as the center back gets the ball, Tim steps to pressure, and that's where all the motion happens.
Richards back for Sebastian Berhalter. Now Aiden Morris. Really unique story for Morris and Berhalter to be playing together for the national team side by side, having done so at club level, but also coming through the youth system in Columbus. This one is sent long for McKennie to chase onto. McKennie lays it inside, the flag goes up as Weah met that one. Did look offside, but the assistant on the near side with VAR in play today just kept his flag down.
We talked about it pre-game with Christian Pulisic playing this false 9 position. It's going to be so important for Weston McKennie. It looks like he's onside to me. It's so important for those midfield runs. That's been giving Portugal a lot of trouble in the first 19 minutes here. It's just trying to locate the most dangerous player for the U.S., trying to keep Christian Pulisic from getting turned and getting on the ball. But when Pulisic is coming into the midfield, so many willing runners for the U.S. going in behind.
Gallo on the far side finds Vitinha. Portugal extremely relaxed in training yesterday. There was a really good vibe around the camp. But what strikes you when you see them come out is just the amount of world-class talent that they have within their squad.
That's without even Cristiano Ronaldo being here.
So the free kick coming on the far side.
Little nutmeg here, and what I like from Robinson is ball goes through, but man and ball do not make it on the other side. That was one thing with Doak, who obviously is one of the best wingers out there, but there was only one foul on him in that first half. Just getting in those challenges, making it a very difficult day. And the mental side of that, chipping away at the confidence of a team that's really good at possessing the ball. That's the type of things, those little touch fouls and having to pick yourself up off the grass.
Luke, before you were mentioning talking to the Portuguese players as well as Roberto Martinez, the head coach, yesterday, and one of the things that he shared yesterday was that they're trying to simulate what they will face at the World Cup. For instance, playing in a closed stadium here in Atlanta like they did in Mexico, but also when it comes to the travel, the diet, what they're eating. But one of the things that stuck out to me the most was he wants to do all of that now so that he gives players a time to rest after season right before the World Cup starts. He said, I know what it's like. These players go, go, go. They won't have that much time. So we want to do all of this now while we can here in North America, and it's give them that opportunity to reset a little bit before the World Cup.
Yeah, his first two games, he was talking about they're going to be in a similar environment in Houston under a roof. First game is either going to be against Congo or Jamaica. They are currently in extra time for a spot in the World Cup, and Congo are leading Jamaica by 1-0 on what has been a busy day of playoffs. The second game is Uzbekistan, and then they'll face Colombia in the final group stage game. Don't worry, we won't mention it.
Don't mention it.
We won't.
You said extra time, and I thought it was coming. My Italian brethren.
Guys, I'm just trying to get tickets to that Portugal-Colombia game.
That could be a really good game.
I'm going with you.
If you know anybody with tickets, let me know.
We saw Pibe the other night here. Carlos Valderrama. Let's see if maybe he can hook us up. What a player he was.
A space down the right side here for Weah, who will chase onto the pass from Tillman. Pulisic is in the middle, McKennie there as well. The cross comes in. Oh, it went past Pulisic and McKennie as well. And picked up by Robinson on the edge of the box. And here's Sebastian Berhalter. He'll have a go from distance. Oh, Sarr with the save. Sebastian Berhalter lets it fly. 22 minutes in, still 0-0.
Pulisic, he's at midfield when this ball gets played forward. Tremendous speed to go and get up with that. I don't see a deflection on it. You wonder if Christian's expecting the ball to get deflected. This will be another look at it. No, he just misses it. You really expect him to at least get a touch on that. And here's the look at Sarr. He sees that all the way. He's over there, but Pulisic had a wonderful chance. Just couldn't make contact on it.
That's a couple of really good looks now that the United States have had as we get to the cooling break. Now, this is being done because, of course, in the summer, teams will have to deal with these sorts of situations. I asked Roberto Martinez yesterday if he's a fan. He said, it doesn't matter if I'm a fan, I just have to deal with it.
It's not his choice.
And I have to make sure that we use it to our advantage. So they were in favor of having these cooling breaks here today so that they could experience what they will do in these. VAR, of course, also. But it's all about preparation for what's to come in the summer. And he said, you have now up to 3 minutes. You need to make it count.
Well, and you saw on his left hand, if you took a look closely, he's got an iPad. The amount of data and the amount of people up in the stands, it's almost like American football. The amount of schemes and things that they see and highlights that they send to the bench in real time. So, unlike the last time the World Cup was here, there wasn't going to be much of that at a water break. I mean, this water break is a big tactical opportunity.
So 0-0 here so far. What a confidence builder for Matt Freese, making that huge save on Bruno Fernandes at a time when Maurizio Pochettino Gave Matt Turner a chance at the weekend, goes back to Freeze today, who has pretty much been the first choice since he made his debut. Matt Freeze came in and started 12 games in a row before he didn't play against Belgium. This is his 14th start in the last 16 games since his debut against Turkey. And 12 in a row was the longest starting streak for a US keeper since Tim Howard went 14 in a row in 2011. No mean feat.
Well, this is, I'll say, a Tim Howard-esque save you're going to see right here. I mean, look at, he's got his feet set. He's got to get down so quickly. That ball is flying. And off this turf, you can see it plays really fast. It's a little unpredictable with it being chewed up in front of him. Makes a wonderful save there and just has to be sure of himself on that cross. And just, you know, again, the difference between the two sides. U.S. looking strong. The U.S. dominating, getting a little more chances, but Bruno Fernandes gets one and forces an incredible save. We've had a few chances and haven't really forced big saves out of Sa yet.
Well, the US started pretty well against Belgium. They took the lead at the weekend. It fell apart, of course. They conceded towards the end of the half to make it 1-1. Belgium 4 goals in the space of 23 minutes, with that first one just before half-time, and then Belgium came out and completely changed the game in the second half. But Mauricio Pochettino did say, and some of the players as well, in those sorts of situations, you have to pick out, obviously, address the things you weren't happy with, but pick out the things that were good as well and try and build on them.
Looks like a similar quarter of an hour that we saw last game. You know, Tim Ream was a starter in that last game. I'm sure the veteran there will tell you that it just, the intensity, the commitment, the closing down, the attention to details just faded a little bit, especially after they conceded the next goal. It was interesting. We were at training and Weah and Pochettino were off to the side having a very, very long conversation. You know, I think the coaching staff, with everything that Tim Ream's been through, just trust his thoughts, his point of view, and obviously being one of the veteran leaders here, what an asset to have someone like that.
Back underway then after the hydration break. An 8th all-time meeting between these two teams. The US unbeaten in the last 4. The most recent friendly, a 1-1 draw in Portugal in November of 2017, when Weston McKennie, who closes down now, scored on his debut at the age of 19 to give the US the lead. Tyler Adams also debuted that day, as did Cameron Carter-Vickers. Vitinha. Anthony Robinson gets a foot to that one. There will be multiple changes in the game. You wonder how long Anthony Robinson will go today, having been given the start at the weekend and once again tonight. He's one of 5 players staying in at the 11 from Saturday. The others Weah, McKennie, Tillman and Pulisic. 4 of this 11 played in the 2022 World Cup. Robinson, Weah, McKennie and Pulisic. In fact, all 4 of those started all 4 games in Qatar. Two World Cup meetings between these two, both in the group stage in 2002. The US winning 3-2. Led 3-0 in that game. John O'Brien and Brian McBride amongst the goals. 2-2 draw in 2014. Jermaine Jones and Clint Dempsey scoring. Vitinha level of that day in 2014 from Portugal. Israel Cancelo down the left side, who was in the US last summer for the Club World Cup. He was with Al Hilal at the time and has now gone on loan to Barcelona since after that tournament. This one played in towards the front post. Richards gets a touch to it and Freeman heads it behind. Third quarter of the game coming here for Portugal. Portugal winning 4 of their 6 games in World Cup qualifying. They finished top of the group, 3 points above the second place team, which was Ireland. Had success last June winning the Nations League.
Trust me, wait!
Chips this one in, distance on the header from Chris Richards, who did well to get that one away. Cancelo's ball forward will just drift behind. Big moments for Portugal, winning the Nations League last summer. They beat Germany in the semi-final 2-1. Conceição and Ronaldo's second half goals. Then they beat Spain on penalties in the final. After extra time, they'd trailed twice in that game. It finished 2-2.